I was at the courthouse today in Manhattan. I was in the courtroom for opening statements for this first criminal trial of the former president. I can report firsthand that the courtroom smells like old soup and stale breath. I can report that the police officers who police the courtroom are working very hard, and they appear to be very stressed. I can report that Judge Merchan is soft-spoken and has what I think would be universally considered to be a pleasant voice. I can report that Prosecutor Matthew Colangelo speaks exactly like Seth Meyers speaks when Seth Meyers is not telling jokes. I can tell you that the first witness, David Pecker, accidentally gave out his whole phone number today when the prosecutor just asked him to confirm the last 4 digits. He was trying to remember the last 4 digits, and in order to get there in his head, he said the whole number out loud, and oops, didn't mean to do that. I can report that former President Donald Trump looks a lot older than he used to, and that it seemed to me, in my subjective take, that he seemed miserable to be there. But, you know, I look a lot older than I used to look as well. And I think anybody's got a right to look miserable when they're sitting in a courtroom charged with dozens of felonies as a criminal defendant. The courtroom is bare bones. It is not large. It is inelegant. It has unflattering lighting. Like I said, it does not smell good. And everybody is very tense. What I mean to present to you with all of this information is that, given the choice, nobody would want to be there. Except, of course, journalists and reporters covering the most historic trial in American political history. To that end, I'd also like to say that I am sorry to the journalists who were sitting immediately next to me because I unintentionally snorted out loud and went, ooh, when this happened today at the trial. And when I read this part of the transcript to you, you will know why I said, ooh. Prosecutor Matthew Colangelo. In January 2017, before the defendant moved down to Washington to begin his presidency, Michael Cohen met with Allen Weisselberg of the Trump Organization to talk about how Cohen was going to get reimbursed for the payoff to Stormy Daniels. Weisselberg, you will remember, was the Trump Organization chief financial officer, and he was one of the defendant's longest-serving and most trusted employees. Neither Trump nor the Trump Organization could just write a check to Michael Cohen for $130,000 with a memo line that said, reimbursement for porn star payoff. They had to disguise the nature of the repayment. So they agreed to cook the books and make it look like the repayment was actually income, payments for services rendered instead of a reimbursement. Allen Weisselberg asked Mr. Cohen to bring a copy of a bank statement showing the $130,000 payment that Cohen had made to keep Stormy Daniels quiet before the election. Weisselberg and Cohen agreed to a total repayment amount of $420,000. Here is how they got to that number. This is good. They started with the $130,000 that Trump owed Cohen for the Stormy Daniels payoff. Then they added $50,000 for a separate reimbursement Cohen was claiming, which had to do with tech services he paid for during the campaign. That adds up to $180,000. Then they agreed to double that amount to $360,000 to account for taxes. Now, of course, if Trump was just reimbursing Cohen, there was no need to gross it up for taxes. They doubled it because their plan was to call it income instead of a reimbursement. If Cohen was getting money they were calling income, he would have to pay taxes on it. Cohen was close to a 50% tax bracket, so to make him whole on the $180,000 that the defendant owed him, they had to double the amount to $360,000. Then he had added another $60,000 as a year-end bonus. And all of that comes out to a total of $420,000. And Allen Weisselberg wrote all of that down. Whereupon I annoyed the people sitting near me because I snorted out loud and said, ooh, he wrote it all down? If you were a fan of The Wire, this is the scene where Stringer Bell turns to the young man and says, are you taking notes on a criminal conspiracy? Using a lot of swear words. Yes, he was taking notes on a criminal conspiracy. Prosecutor Matthew Colangelo, Allen Weisselberg wrote all of that down. You can't believe this is real. The bank statement that I told you about that he asked Cohen to bring to their meeting, The bank statement from the Essential Consultants account, which showed the $130,000 wire that Cohen had made to Keith Davidson to keep Stormy Daniels quiet. You will see in this trial Allen Weisselberg's handwriting down the side of that bank statement, laying out every one of the steps that I just described, showing how they converted the $130,000 payoff amount to the $420,000 that Cohen was going to get paid back as a grossed up way to disguise it, not as reimbursement, but as income. And they took notes about it every step of the way, and the prosecution has the notes. And then here's the kicker. Matthew Colangelo, prosecutor, quote, Cohen and Weisselberg then met with Trump, who approved the repayment amount of $420,000 on the $130,000 Stormy Daniels payment and a few other expenses. Now, you will see evidence at trial that Trump was a very frugal businessman. He believed in pinching pennies. He believed in watching every dollar. He believed in negotiating every bill. It's all over all of the books he has written. He ran the Trump Organization with total control. You will hear testimony about his relentless focus on the bottom line. But when it came time to pay Michael Cohen back for the catch and kill deal, you will see that he didn't negotiate the price down. He doubled it. And he doubled it so they could disguise it as income. And you will hear evidence that the Trump Organization was not in the practice of paying people twice what they owed for anything. This might be the only time that ever happened. And Trump's willingness to do so here shows just how important it was to him to hide the true nature of Cohen's illegal payment to Ms. Daniels and the overall election conspiracy that they had launched in August 2015. Prosecutors saying Trump is paying a lot for this and he never pays for anything. That's how important and sensitive this was. Now, interestingly, moments later, the defense used this same set of facts to make the opposite point to the jury, saying, yeah, Trump really is so cheap and so unwilling to pay for anything. So this must have been some other thing he was paying for. Not the thing they have handwritten notes from his CFO about. Joining us now is former FBI General Counsel Andrew Weissmann. Also with us, former Assistant District Attorney in the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, Catherine Christian. Catherine and Andrew, thank you both for being here. Andrew, let me ask you first. Was Stringer Bell right to ask Allen Weisselberg, are you taking notes on a criminal conspiracy? Is this document potentially important here?
So you must have seen my notes because that is starred. That was the page where I had the same reaction. Okay. So one of the things that you listen for when you listen to openings on both sides is you know that there are witnesses who are going to testify, and you think about how they're going to do, whether they have memory issues, whether they have credibility issues. But then you look for what is the prosecution going to say with respect to what's so-called hard evidence. And there, the things that stood out to me was you had a reference to the tape recording that we've heard about. That's where Donald Trump is overheard saying, hey, let's just pay the $130,000 in cash. That's a terrible tape for Donald Trump. Second, there was references to telephone records at a critical time that the payments were first made by Michael Cohen to Stormy Daniels, where there are two calls that the prosecutor referenced between Michael Cohen and Donald Trump. And then the third was this, which is definitely a fall off your chair moment where they have it in writing. And what's so interesting is that the defense said the repayment was not reimbursement for the payments to Stormy Daniels. I do not know how they're going to deal with that when you have these notes. And remember, when you make a promise, when you say something at openings, as Catherine knows, as Katie knows, that comes back to haunt you. If you have overpromised, if you've made a misstatement, that both sides are listening for that because they're going to bring it up again in closing.
Catherine, is it important here that we don't expect Allen Weisselberg himself to be a witness, to potentially, walk the jury through what his notes meant and explain this document that is otherwise sort of a fall off your chair moment, like Andrew said?
Well, it's a good thing since he's serving time for perjury. So neither side wants him as a witness. So it's very good for the prosecution because they can just have the notes. And obviously, Donald Trump doesn't want a perjurer testifying on his behalf. So that's a good thing. But I agree with Andrew. This is the corroboration. When you talk about Michael Cohen and his baggage, this is where you have corroboration of his statement. So there's no way the Manhattan DA's office would have just relied on Michael Cohen's testimony if they did not have corroborating documents, corroborating witnesses.
Hey everyone, MSNBC has a new and improved app. You'll get real-time alerts and analysis, live blogs, in-depth essays, video highlights, and the best 2024 election coverage. Download the new MSNBC app. Here's how to do it. You tap on the App Store on your phone. You hit search on the bottom right corner. You type in MSNBC. You click on the MSNBC app. You click on Get or the cloud icon and enjoy it.